अन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंगायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणम्। All right. Yeah. Thank you for joining. I think people are still in the Diwali mode. I don't see many people. It's okay. What does it matter? So we'll nonetheless talk a bit. Okay. Yeah. So where to start? Any questions on the previous week class? क्योंकि काफी time हो गया, right? Does it sound like a previous life or something? Anybody has any questions? Okay. All right. So we just had Diwali, right? So Diwali. Anybody? Okay. Chalo. Let me ask this question. Do you know what is the meaning of this line? एक you must have heard, right? Sri Ramchandra Kripalu Bhajman Harana Bhav Bhay Darunam, right? So yeah, this is a verse which comes in it. इति वदति तुलसीदास शंकर शेष मुनि मन रंजनम मम हृदय कुंज निवास कुरु कामादि खल दल गंजनम. Can you connect it to what we talk mostly in our sessions? What does this mean, this verse? ये वर्स सुनी है ना आपने? Any thoughts? Okay, quite. ठीक है, let me ask.
प्रभु जी सुना हुआ तो है, लेकिन मतलब आई कैन मेक अ सेंस कि वी शुड कीप श्री रामचंद्र इन आवर हार्ट, समथिंग लाइक दैट.
हाँ, थोड़ा है वैसा ही माता जी, करेक्ट, यू आर पार्शली राइट. पर उससे भी इम्पोर्टेंट एक और भी बात है. So it, okay, let me explain. Or anybody wants to attempt? Anyone else?
Prabhuji, I joined just now. Can you repeat once?
So what I'm saying is, there is a verse which says, "Iti vadati Tulsidas Shankar Shesh Muni Manaranjanam Mama Hridaya Kunj Nivas Kuru Kamadi Khale Dal Ganjanam." So ये जो वर्स है, इसका क्या मीनिंग है?
प्रभु जी, एक तो वही कि मेरे हृदय में मतलब आप निवास करो और मेरे मन हृदय के जो भी विकार है उनका भजन करो.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, हाँ, you're right, Mataji. और in fact, जो पहला लाइन है वो भी बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है. मतलब वहां पर तुलसीदास जी साफ साफ बता रहे हैं. मतलब लोगों को काफी बार डाउट होता है कि कौन है शिव जी और रामचंद्र जी में क्या रिलेशनशिप है. सो बेसिकली ही मेक्स इट वेरी वेरी क्लियर कि मतलब कि शंकर शेष मुनि, मतलब इन सबके मन को जो खुश करने वाले हैं, जो है वो मेरे हृदय में निवास करें. और मेरे हृदय में जब वो रहेंगे तो सारे काम आदि, मतलब जो भी हमारे अनर्थास होते हैं, राइट, वो सारे खत्म हो जाएंगे, खत्म कर दें उसके पहले. सो इनफैक्ट दैट इज द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ दिवाली एंड दशहरा, बेसिकली द वे टू अंडरस्टैंड इट. कि मतलब इन दशहरा इट्स अबाउट killing the demons, and then in Diwali it's about inviting the Lord, right? So this is how it works. This is what is said as अधो श्रद्धा, साधु संग, भजन क्रिया, अनर्थ निवृत्ति, और फिर उसके आगे के स्टेजेस, राइट? तो पहले अनर्थ निवृत्ति और फिर निष्ठा, रुचि, आसक्ति, भाव और प्रेम. सो वो सब आने के पहले अनर्थ निवृत्ति इज important, right? So that we can clean our heart and then invite the Lord. Right. The way people interpret Diwali and Dashera is very, very different, but this is the way to understand. And interestingly, I mean, just think about it. These things are so much codified कि लोगों ने उसको किसी और तरह से भी जोड़ दिया है कि अरे इसमें आप सफाई करोगे तो लक्ष्मी आएगी, ताकि लोग एटलीस्ट नारायण के लिए नहीं तो लक्ष्मी के लिए ही कुछ साफ सफाई कर लें. And this is going to give you a mode of goodness for sure, right? If you do that. And move you further somehow or the other. So yeah. All right. Let's.
Prabhuji, one question. Like in Diwali, mostly observed that usually more than inviting Lord and worshipping Ramchandra ji, we worship Lakshmi Ganesh. Like they are the associates of Lord, but then why do we worship them specifically?
Yeah, because people are more interested in Lakshmi and Ganesh. क्योंकि वो आपको मटीरियली आपको ऐसा लगता है ना कि सब पैसे आ जाएं और सब कुछ अच्छा अच्छा हो जाए. What else you want in life, right? मतलब आप generally people interpret religion for these things, right? जो there are something called as 4 पुरुषार्थ, right? और लोग उसमें ही अटक के रह जाते हैं. धर्म, अर्थ, काम और मोक्ष. ये सारी पहली 3 चीजें तो आपको इस लाइफ में, और फिर लगता है कि धर्म, अर्थ और काम मिल गया, उसके आगे मोक्ष मिल गया, बस और क्या चाहिए, मतलब. और मोक्ष इज व्हाट दे थिंक इज द अल्टीमेट डेस्टिनेशन, बट दैट इज नॉट. ओके, मोक्ष मिलना कोई बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है. आप यहाँ रह के भी लोग मोक्ष ले लेते हैं इन दिस बॉडी. ओके, सो दे थिंक दैट दिस इज व्हाट इट इज ऑल अबाउट. बट देयर इज अ फिफ्थ थिंग आल्सो which is called bhakti, because after moksha comes the bhakti. Once you are liberated, then only you can understand the God. Okay, otherwise आप ये अपने अनर्थास में और ये मटेरियल चीजों में फंसे हुए हो, and so you don't have access to God the way it should be. So that is why this fifth thing is very important. Books like Srimad Bhagavatam, they talk about this fifth aspect. They do not talk about first 4. But for material people, they understand only 4 things. So इस चीज को रामचंद्र जी के आने को के इंस्टेंस को भी लोगों ने लक्ष्मी गणेश के साथ जोड़ दिया. But still in that process, you at least clean your house, you at least be in a mode of goodness and do some small thing so that you at least get elevated. Yeah. Does it make sense?
Got it, Prabhuji.
Yeah, there is no connection basically. Matlab, there is no connection at all. Prabhupada says somewhere to his disciple while talking about Diwali ki matlab, because in Bengal the people also do Durga Puja a lot in this time frame. So he says ki Vaishnavas, we this Lakshmi Ganesh puja is for more for the mercantile kind of community. They are supposed to do it, but For us Vaishnava, the Diwali has a different significance, and then the next to it is Govardhan Puja, and that has huge amount of significance for us. So that is how he describes that side of the days. So, anyways, okay. So we go back. So we were so far discussing a series of verses which talks about our uh, physical body, how it should be, like, the gross body and the subtle body, how it is all about, and the soul also. So in the last three verses, Krishna described almost a lot of knowledge. Now we are going to enter a different section altogether. Okay, and in this section, now Krishna will not talk about his point of view, but he would rather talk about others' point of view. Okay, so this section technically is called Vision of the Seers of Truth, and I'll explain what it means as we enter that. But that is the section that we'll be entering. Okay, so this is that section, and this is the first verse. So let me recite. नासतो विद्यते भावो ना भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि द्रष्टोऽन्तस् तव अन्योस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. Anyone wants to recite? Okay, let me recite once more so that you can catch up the pronunciation. नासतो विद्यते भावो ना भाव.
नासतो
Yeah, go ahead. नासतो विद्यते भावो
नासतो विद्यते भावो
ना भावो विद्यते सतः
नाभावो विद्यते सतः
उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्
उभयोरपि द्रष्टुन्तस्
तव अनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः.
तयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः
नासतो विद्यते भावो. Yeah, we can repeat again so that we can catch it. That's how it is done in the physical classes. Nasato vidyate bhavo
नासतो विद्यते भावो
na bhavo vidyate satah
नाभावो विद्यते सतः
ubayorapi drashtontas
उभयोरपि द्रष्टुन्तः
tava anayos tattvadarshibhi.
तव अन्योस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः
Okay. All right.
नासतो विद्यते भावो नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि द्रष्टोऽन्तस् तव अन्यासतत्त्वादर्शिभिः
Tattvadarshibhi. Yeah. Anyone else wants to recite?
भैया हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
नासतो विद्यते भावो नाभावो विद्यते सत उभयोरपि द्रष्टुन्तत्स त्वन्नोयतत्त्वदर्शपि
Tava anayos tattvadarshibhi.
तवन्यो दर्शतपि.
All right. Thank you. All right. So as I was saying, this okay. Let me read the translation from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Okay. So the most important thing maybe to underline here is Tattvadarshibhi. Okay. So because as I was saying, this section is called Vision of the Seers of Truth. Okay, Seers of Truth यानी जिन्होंने truth को देखा है. So Tattva means truth. Okay, English में it's called Toto. So in Sanskrit it is Tattva. It means truth. So truth यहाँ पर जिस context में हम बातें कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पर what does truth means? Any guesses? What is truth and what is not truth? Any guesses?
The study about the soul and the supreme.
Yeah. So soul is truth, right? And what is not truth?
Material body.
Body, yeah, body, material world, yep. So body, I mean, here, because we are talking only about body and soul. So what is truth is soul, and what is not truth is body, right? So atma is truth and body is false. So we vision, I mean, tattvadarshi bhi means like जिन्होंने तत्व यानी कि truth को देखा है, those who have saw the truth. Okay, so can we see the truth, right? Which means like, can we see the soul? No, right? So अभी क्या हो रहा है ना, this is basically Krishna is going to quote, I mean, from this point onwards, Krishna is going to quote the realizations of seers of truth. ठीक है, सत्य को जानने वाले नहीं, तत्व को देखने वालों के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. So just imagine what kind of people they are. So what do they see, like, you know, so जो भी पिछले 3 verses में whatever we have heard, all the concepts, Krishna will just repeat them now. Okay, but he will let the tattvadarshi be, like, you know, tattvadarshi क्या कहा है उन्होंने, उस बारे में कृष्णा बताएंगे, right? And yeah, so basically okay, so let's talk about the false first. Okay, how do you know that body which is visible, right? We can see the body, and the body is not existent. Here it is said ki not existent. So why it is not existent even though we can see the body? Why is it claimed that body is not existent even though it is visible?
So Prabhuji, maybe because it is not eternal, right? It comes and goes.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, जो 10 मिनट पहले जो आपकी बॉडी थी ना, अब वो बॉडी नहीं रही आपकी. If you actually talk even scientifically, because our cells are some of the other cells are dying all the time, और चीजें बदल रही होती हैं. So your body keeps changing. After, by the time we finish the class, you will be a different person, more or less. So this body is continuously changing. It is not fixed, right? It is a ever changing thing. So the strange thing here is, of course, as I said, right, कि जो non existent है, जो कि fixed नहीं है, constant नहीं है, वो चीजें तो हमें दिखाई देती हैं. But जो existent है, which is like actually eternal thing, that we are not able to see. Okay, so but body is dead, right? We know that body is dead. That we talked about multiple times. Ki the body was always dead and will always be dead. There is nothing which is there. But why does it appear alive?
With soul, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. It's the presence of soul, exactly, which makes the body appear to be animated or animate object, right? कि मतलब move होती है, सब कुछ होता है, but ये सारा कुछ soul करवा रहा है, and that is what it makes it feel alive, and the energy of the soul is what keeps it intact also. So yeah, okay, but हम तत्वदर्शी के बारे में समझने की कोशिश करते हैं. So what do you think, like, you know, we are not able to see the soul, correct? But what should I do to see the soul? How can I see the soul?
Through understanding, Prabhuji.
Yeah, but with our understanding, आपको लगता है आप समझ पाएंगे, मतलब अपने दिमाग लगा के?
नहीं. By clearing the dust of all the anarthas.
बट उससे भी कुछ होगा क्या माताजी? मतलब अनर्थास तो चलिए, बहुत सारे तरीके हैं अनर्थास हटाने के. आई कैन टेल यू 2-3 more ways. Okay, अनर्थास can be removed from bhajan kriya. There are many other ways also of removing अनर्थास. ठीक है, योगी एक अलग तरह से अनर्थ हटाते हैं, यम नियम और इस तरह से. और भी लोग हैं जो ज्ञानी अपने ज्ञान से भी अनर्थ हटाते हैं, बट that is not going to solve the problem. I mean, if you want to, we are talking about the people who are tattvadarshi, right? How can they see the soul? Like, you know, just see like picture in the slide, right? The great people like Narad and other Asit Deval and all those rishis. How can they see it, which we cannot? How is that possible?
भगवान के थ्रू.
Sorry?
भगवान के थ्रू.
भगवान के थ्रू मतलब आप देखिए, अगर आप एक भगवान की वो लेके आ जाएंगे और भगवान के थ्रू कर सकते हैं, बट डायरेक्टली इज इट एक्सेसिबल टू यू? मतलब भगवान के आपको बताने तो हमें आ नहीं रहे, देन व्हाट इज द वे?
Prabhuji, we heard about that whatever we don't know and whatever we can't see, that we should try to see via Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Probably we should look at some
Yeah.
information and also via that we can try to know that.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So basically, we can see through our ears, basically. Okay. So we need to hear about it, and that's how they see. Like, अगर आप ये वर्स का ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ेंगे तो this is what it says in the last line. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Okay, by studying, those people have done that, correct, and they have heard it from their higher authorities, and that's how we also get to know from our higher authorities. There is no other way. By our experimentation we cannot do that, but by hearing from the higher authorities we can understand it. Okay, so it is visible through ears and not through eyes. Okay, and that's how you can understand the soul. There is no other clean way of doing it. Okay, so you hear from those who know, and then you also get to know. So now Krishna iske beyond jo verses quote karenge na, a lot of them, I mean, they are all from Upanishads, almost as it is. Okay, you can find a similar verse in Upanishad. That's what he'll quote. So just imagine, I mean, like, even Krishna is not discarding the authority of scriptures, and he's also not discarding the authorities of previous acharyas and people. Okay, so he's not doing that, and that is how it is. I mean, if a person says I do not trust the scripture or acharyas, then basically, essentially, yeah, you are not you can be called not a Nastik, or either a Nastik or a person who has no faith in the scriptures. But that's fine. There's no problem in doing it. You'll not be able to know this truth. So even Krishna, who could have said ki I am telling it, that's enough, right? I do not want to quote anything, but he's also quoting directly from scriptures. And that is why Sanskrit mein jo philosophy hoti hai na, that is called darshan. Okay, when you read the scripture, when you hear the scripture, that knowledge of philosophy is called darshan. That's how you see it, by hearing and reading. Okay, so why so even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he used to start his lecture, so he used to say this ki matlab, I request you all to please lend me your ears, okay, and do not lend me your eyes. So because you hear the truth from the ears, and that's why these scriptures are also called Shruti. ठीक है, सो हमें हमारा इंटेंशन ये होना चाहिए कि गुरु को देखना इज इंपॉर्टेंट, आई मीन बट गुरु से सुनना इज मच मोर इंपॉर्टेंट. देयर इज लाइक टू वेज, आई मीन जस्ट डिबेटिंग, बट देयर आर टू वेज थ्रू विच यू कैन सर्व अ गुरु. थ्रू अदर्स कॉल्ड वाणी एंड बापू. आई मीन लाइक तो बापू इसको मीन्स लाइक कि फिजिकली आपके सामने गुरु हैं, आप उनको उनके लिए कुछ अच्छा खाना बना के दे रहे हैं, उनकी सर्विस कर रहे हैं, पैर दबा रहे हैं. दैट इज वन वे ऑफ सर्विंग अ गुरु, right? That's called bapu. But the other way is to hear, and the hearing is way important, because any guru may not be always accessible to you. He'll not sit with you always. They are very, very lucky people who get that kind of association. But otherwise, yeah, hearing is enough, and that is very, very important. So yeah, so as much as we hear, we actually that much better we are able to understand, and this is how it works in our material world also. Like normal हमारी लाइफ में भी कुछ ऐसा ही होता है. जैसे बचपन में मदर से कि अरे देखो वो मून है, और काफी कहानियां बताती है मदर मून के बारे में कि देखो मून में whatever, right? I mean it is made up of cheese or something like that. You hear something, ठीक है, कुछ कुछ समझ में आता है. Then you grow and you hear more, like what scientists says or how people have gone there, what they have saw and things like that. As you hear more about it, your clarity about moon increases, right? So the moon, and now when you look at the moon, you see those dots in the moon and things, they are craters. Okay, so you are able to see it sitting here, the same moon. In the childhood you used to think that it is a cheese, and now when you look at it, it's a crater. So you are able to see more clearly. And how? Just by hearing more about it. So by hearing more, our even the clarity of what we see increases, right? And the same is applies even for spiritual truth. Okay, so that you get to see it through your ears. As you right now we are talking theory, but later when you uh, gradually see around you, then you are able to see the same truth, that oh, they are all souls really, right? And things like that. So um, there's a sannyasi in ISKCON called Jayadvaita Maharaj. So he says ki, that is the reason why we have 2 ears and one mouth. Okay, that we have to hear more and speak less. So it's important. And yeah, and that also reminds me, like last time also we were talking about this ki, what we hear is very important, because that is the kind of clarity we get. So it's very, very important to be very cautious. I know I am the culprit. I didn't send some lectures this time. I couldn't do it, but I don't know if last time which I sent, did people got to hear some of them?
Yes, Prabhuji, they were very structured and very good. We heard all.
Okay, I'll share more. I mean, I'll share tomorrow onwards. I'll do that. Yeah. But basically, the point is like, we have to elevate our hearing. We have to take it to the next level. There are really good lectures of Prabhupada. Yeah, I know there is sometimes there is a issue of audio quality, but I still feel even then they are worth hearing. I mean, like, थोड़ा ज़्यादा effort लग जाता है कभी-कभी समझने में. But what he says in those lectures now, if you hear some of his conversation with the journalists or in general in the walking and things like that, they are like very amazing insights he gives. Beyond our imagination sometimes. What a real acharya is, you get to hear what kind of realization he gets. अगर वो एक बोर्ड भी देखते थे ना, रोड पे चलते हुए कि ओ वी पेंट, लाइक शायद किसी पेंटिंग कंपनी का बोर्ड था वो, कि वी पेंट दिस वर्ल्ड, and he looks at it and he says, oh, see, this is what we do. This advertising is for us because we paint the world with Krishna consciousness. Like, every time focused on Krishna, no matter what he is reading, what is going on. एक बार वो कहीं जा रहे थे और उन्होंने रोड पे देखा कि किसी ने शर्ट पहनी हुई थी, and there in the shirt it was written, love me, love my dog. Okay, and just by looking at that shirt he says, see, this is Vaishnavism. Okay, so he says ki Krishna says ki, love me and love my dog. I mean, like, that you have to love Krishna and you also have to love the Vaishnavas. Okay, and that is Vaishnavism. So just imagine, we don't have that kind of realization, and to see the world like that, those are the people who are called Tattvadarshi. Like, they see the truth really. I mean, through scriptures. They are like this called Shastra Chakshu. Okay, that when you see anywhere around you, you see it through scriptures. Then the world appears very, very different. Right now we see it through our material eyes, and they are full of all these, if you remember from Discover Yourself, right, that imperfect senses. So they are imperfect and tendency to get illusioned and all those things, and because of which we don't get to see the truth. So those truths are visible to great acharyas. So hearing from them has a very different impact. So yeah, we should be very careful what we are hearing. Okay, so coming back to the verse. So basically, body, as it says, right, this the body has it's non-endurance. यानी कि जो body है, वो टिकता नहीं है. मतलब, it's not eternal. And for soul there is no change. Correct. How do you know, by the way, that soul doesn't changes? Yeah. Any thoughts? How are you sure कि, because I told or लिखा हुआ है, that's okay, but how can we understand that soul never changes?
So sometimes, Prabhuji, even that the age is growing and all, but your that your thought process are all still, you can go like 20 years back and then you are thinking in the maybe your childhood or same kind of thinking you have. Body is changing, but your thoughts are not changing. So probably
yeah, that's definitely one way to realize it, because we don't change really. I mean, like, andar se, our taste changes, our everything else changes, right? Even our intelligence also changes, because we are more intelligent than what we were. But there is something which tells us कि I am that same person. अगर मैं आपको 4 फोटो दिखाऊं आपके बचपन की और थोड़े यंग एज की और थोड़े और ओल्ड एज की और आज की, मतलब आज भी for the young age only, not old. But basically all those four photos, and I will say कि अरे देखो ये एक child की photo है, और ये एक boy की है, एक young man की है, और ये आपकी photo है. But when you look at it, no, you'll be like, नहीं नहीं, ये चारों मेरी photo है. Because you can clearly see, even though it's a small child, but you can clearly see, no, that was me only, right? But of course change has happened. But why you are saying that? Because body has changed, but as a person you have not changed. You are still that same person. I mean, think about your whatever, some small traits don't change. Even we know that for us, even though intelligence has changed and everything. So you know that you are the same person, and that same person, that realization comes from soul. I mean, that because it is the same person. There's another way to understand it also, because soul is spiritual, right? Soul is not material. And now because soul is spiritual, matter has no effect on the soul. ये जो happiness, distress, heat, cold, ये सारी चीजें soul को कभी effect नहीं करती हैं. And that is why there is no change. I mean, for the body, yes, all these heat and cold has effect on the body, and because of which the body changes. So the soul as a person remains constant, because this world cannot change it for sure, and no world can change it actually. That's what it is all about. It is a person and always be like that. And that's a good news. I mean, if you think about it, it is very soothing thought that you are eternal. Okay, so yeah, so basically, as I said, right now onwards it will go into that mode. Even this particular verse is about that. His soul is eternal. This is what he says, that others have said. I'm not telling it. Okay. There are many other things, like, about body and soul, correct? I mean, if you think about it, like, as I said, soul is eternal and body doesn't get destroyed. I'm just revising. Like, this is the only alive thing. Soul is alive and matter is dead. That's another important thing about soul, because now from this verse onwards till text 25, we'll only be talking about body and soul. I mean, or roughly like that, like, what others have said. Krishna will go deeper into that again and again. Like, soul is conscious, correct? And the body or matter is not conscious. And even because of the presence of soul, the matter also appear to be conscious. ऐसा लगता है कि हमारे अंदर ये thinking है, हमारी thinking है. But the thinking thing is not there in the body. It is beyond that body. Okay. The other difference between soul and body is that soul is constant. Okay, but body goes through 6 changes. शायद हमने कभी बात की थी इन 6 changes की. Anybody remembers what are those 6 changes? This we talked about in the session 4 of Discover Yourself, by the way, and also later also. That body goes through 6 changes, but the soul is constant. And any body, by the way, like, be it elephant or ant or our body, it all goes through those 6 changes. Anybody remembers? Slightly technical maybe. I'll just like, those are 6 changes, are like birth, growth, sustenance, byproducts, creating byproducts, dwindling means getting old, and death. Okay, now these 6 things always happens to everybody. It's a pretty common sense, we all can imagine, right? Yeah, so basically this is roughly about this verse. Essentially you can imagine, right, that the body is false and the soul is the truth. Okay. Baldev Vidyabhushan, in his commentary, he gives a very wonderful verse from Shvetashwar Upanishad, and he says basically, and he talks about a yogi. Okay, again in the similar way as Tattvadarshi, but he's specifically talking about a class of transcendentalists who are called yogis. Okay, so Shvetashwar Upanishad talks about it. It says that, when the yogi basically realizes Brahman. Brahman means soul. Okay, that's the technical word which Upanishads use for a soul sometimes. That when the yogi realizes the Brahman, I mean, like, and it realizes that the soul is like a lamp. Okay, a light. I mean, that everywhere it is said. Even Prabhupada in his this verse also talks about that particular thing. That soul is like a lamp, or like, it's a illuminating thing. It's the thing which like if you open your book, you'll see that verse also. So essentially it says like the soul is like a lamp, and once you realize, when the yogi realize that this lamp or this soul is unborn and is eternal and is pure, then it also understand the God. Okay, I gave an example also, right, कि अगर आपको ब्लड टेस्ट करना होता है तो आप एक ड्रॉप ब्लड लेते हो और उसका टेस्ट करते हो, and you get to know that you have some kind of disease or not, right? You don't take out the entire blood. So just by realizing that the nature of the soul, you can realize the nature of supreme also, and by realizing that you get liberation. Okay, by realizing the nature of supreme, that what is the nature. So he gives this verse, Baldev Vidyabhushan, and he says ki this is the reason why it is important to understand the nature of soul. Okay, because by understanding it properly, we can even understand about the Supreme Lord. So Baldev Vidyabhushan uses two words. One is called Atma, and one is called Amshi. Okay, so Amshi he uses for the Supreme, and he says ki by doing this you can understand the Amshi also. Okay, so and that's why he says कि मतलब इसीलिए सोल के बारे में सभी को विदाउट एनी डिस्टिंक्शन जानना ही चाहिए. मतलब बाकी का हायर स्पिरिचुअल नॉलेज नहीं भी समझ में आता है तो दैट्स ओके, बट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट सोल जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. Okay, so now as I say, this point onwards, Krishna will talk about more of this. Okay, in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada gives some examples. I mean, like, you know, he tells at least one thing, that about this soul, everybody, all class of transcendentalist, basically whether impersonalist or personalist, इस बात को सभी लोग accept करते हैं कि body is ever changing and soul is eternal. A very common sense thing maybe, but this is agreed by everybody. Like कई चीजों में confusion भी है आपस में, but these two people, both of them agree on this, right? And he gives a verse from Vishnu Puran, and he says that the soul is like a illuminating, self-illuminating things which are there in the Vishnu's abode. Okay, कि मतलब ये सारे souls जो हैं वो वहीं भगवान के पास रहते थे, and that the verse comes in Vishnu Puran, and that's what he quotes here in the purport, right? In fact, he also talks about one particular thing, कि there are two types of ignorance, he explains. Okay, which souls goes through. So these are the extra things. Just think about Acharya, like, you know, nothing is written here, but he's talking about additional things to illuminate us, like, you know, to educate us. So he says like there are two types of ignorance. One is called that we identify with the matter ourselves, like, you know, because that's what soul does. And the other thing which also type of ignorance which happens is we start identifying with the God also. Like, you know, a lot of time people start thinking ki I am God. I mean, we all think actually that we are God, because, you know, the feeling of trying to control things and trying to enjoy things and trying to lord over things, that is all nature of God, and we start trying to do that. So this is all ignorance. So he says, like, you know, these are the two types of ignorance or misgivings that happens, and how to remove those ignorance, that can be removed by re-establishing our relationship. Okay, this is it's all from the purport I'm reading basically. So he says, like, you know, re-establishment of eternal relationship between the worshipper and worshipable. Okay, अगर ये दो चीजें समझ में आ जाए कि हाँ, we are a soul and then there is a supreme soul, right? There's a supreme lord, और हमारे बीच में क्या relationship है, if we can understand that, तो फिर हम इस ignorance से बाहर आ सकते हैं. ठीक है? And the next line he says is, one can understand the nature of the supreme by thorough study of oneself. This is what, as I said, Baldev Vidyabhushan also says. So this is just by understanding soul we can do that. But understanding is not enough. Theory is not enough. As I said, right? This is talking about, this is a level of Tattvadarshi. So ये सारी verses जो है ना, यहाँ से ये बड़ी delicate है. These verses are not to be quoted to a fool. Okay, otherwise they will make a movie out of it where they say कि अरे नहीं, गीता में लिखा है कि कोई मरता नहीं, मारता नहीं है, इसलिए खून कर देते हैं. You know, those are like, you know, pretty foolish understanding of such high class things. So this is at the level of Tattvadarshi. If you are able to see that, yes, you will be able to understand the Supreme. Okay. And to see that, how do people see that? I mean, there have been so many acharyas or and people who actually, I mean, आगे verses आएंगी where he says कि लोगों को मतलब ब्राह्मण गवी हस्ती नहीं, मतलब किसी में भी कोई डिफरेंस नहीं दिखता, सभी में, चाहे वो काऊ हो, चाहे वो एलिफेंट हो, चाहे वो डॉग ईटर हो, चाहे वो डॉग हो, सभी में उनको एक जैसे दिखाई देता है, because they know that all of them have soul and they can see that, and once they see that, they realize the level of Supreme also. So that is not for just knowing the theory. That is not enough sometimes. Okay. Yeah. Now, what is the role of Bhagavad Gita? Also, he says here, to drive away such ignorance. The last line of the purport. Lord teaches the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita can drive away this kind of ignorance. The two types of ignorance, that we identify with the matter and we also identify with the God. So both of them go away if we understand Bhagavad Gita. So that's the purport of this verse. Any questions? Okay, we can go to the next verse. Yeah, these verses we can go quickly because a lot has been talked about in the previous verses. So let's go to the next one. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhasi. Do people want to recite with me? I'll read line by line. Yes. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhasi. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhasi. All right. Or anybody wants to recite it completely?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarmidam tatam vinashmavyyasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasam avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati.
Thank you. All right. So yeah, here's the translation. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Okay. So these verses, as I say, they're all, a lot of them are quoted from scriptures. And interestingly, this verse, इसलिए प्रभुपाद काफी नेक्स्ट लेवल पे जाके इस वर्स को एक्सप्लेन करते हैं, काफी आगे तक जाते हैं इस वर्स से. So now we get into the vision part पे जाते हैं, seers of truth के जो vision है, right? And that's what it is. कि मतलब that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. So in fact, even before getting into that, let me talk one more thing about the previous verse. Just to tell you, प्रभुपाद ने जानबूझ के ब्रैकेट्स में डाला है कुछ चीज. Non-existent, the material body, okay, and eternal, the soul. So because original verse में ऐसा नहीं है. It says कि सतह और इस तरह के वर्ड्स आए कि मतलब जो सत्य का कोई वो नहीं है और इटर्नल का कुछ नहीं है और नॉन इटर्नल का, नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट का कुछ नहीं है. So there is another way to understand this verse also, okay, and that understanding breaks Mayavad. If we remove these brackets, then it is like ki non-existent has no endurance and eternal there is no change. So non-existent means kya? Maya. Okay. And eternal kya? Brahma. Okay. So there is no change. So if this understanding, it breaks the Mayavad completely. Which means कि जो ब्रह्म है, जो लोग मायावादी कहते हैं कि ब्रह्मन इज वन थिंग और उसमें से सब निकल के आता है और फिर जाके उसमें मिल जाता है, ऐसा हर टीवी सीरियल में दिखाया जाता है कि एक बड़ी सी लाइट है, लाइट से कोई तो निकल के आए और फिर वापस जाके लाइट में चले गए, राम कृष्ण और सारे लोग. सो बेसिकली इफ इट इज इटर्नल, राइट, द ब्रह्मन, तो उसमें कोई चेंज नहीं है. ब्रह्मन इज इटर्नल, ये तो सारे मानते हैं, राइट. तो फिर उसमें कोई चेंज हो ही नहीं सकता, उससे कोई निकल के भी नहीं आ सकता और कोई जा भी नहीं सकता. और क्या कहते हैं मायावादी की जो माया है वो जो है वो ब्रह्मन पे किसी तरह से कुछ करके और कुछ जो आपका जो ह्यूमन फॉर्म है, दैट इज बिकॉज यू गॉट इनटू द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ माया. Okay, this is what is said by Mayavadis. Now for non-existent, which is Maya, because Maya doesn't exist, that is also agreed by Mayavadis themselves, that Maya has no existence. It is the whole thing is Brahman. I hope I'm not confusing you, but I'm just trying to explain something else also. So for the non-existent, there is no endurance, which means कि Maya का कुछ existence ही नहीं है, because वो non-existent है, तो उसका हो ही नहीं सकती, ऐसा हो नहीं सकता कि माया अपना इन्फ्लुएंस इस पे डाल दे, ब्राह्मण पे, और जो ब्राह्मण है उसमें कोई चेंज होना भी पॉसिबल नहीं है. ओके, अगर इस अंडरस्टैंडिंग से भी इस वर्स को देखें तो दैट आल्सो ब्रेक्स मायावाद इटसेल्फ, ऑल्दो दैट इज नॉट व्हाट कृष्णा इज सेइंग. कृष्णा इन दिस फ्लो इज एक्चुअली टॉकिंग अबाउट बॉडी एंड सोल, बट जस्ट वांटेड टू एक्सप्लेन दैट बिकॉज प्रभुपाद ने जानबूझ के ब्रैकेट डाले हैं सो दैट वी डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज कि नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट कौन से नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट की बातें हो रही हैं. So he made it very, very clear. Okay. But some acharyas quote it like this also. Just wanted to bring it out. All right. So coming to the text 17. I hope this Mayavad example was not confusing. If it was, let me know. So, yeah. So here it says that something which pervades the entire body, right? You should know it to be indestructible. जो भी body में फैला हुआ है सब तरफ, वो indestructible है. Okay, and no one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So अभी यहाँ पर ये बोल रहे हैं कि soul को perishable नहीं है, वो जो soul है. So what does it mean? I mean, this verse what it means कि जो soul है वो पूरी body में फैला हुआ है. Correct? Is it correct or am I saying something wrong? Is this what it means or not? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
This is what it means, right?
No, like, but it's the consciousness that's spread out to the body, right?
हाँ, but वो तो soul की बातें कर रहे हैं ना, तो
Yeah.
consciousness कहाँ से आ गया? Okay. So anyways, yeah, we'll talk. I'll explain. But basically इस वर्ष onwards क्या हो रहा है ना कि अभी तक 15th वर्ष तक भगवान समझा रहे थे, जो मैं बता रहा था, कौमारम यौवनम जरा शीतोष्ण सुख दुखद, इस तरह की बातें. बट अभी भगवान सिर्फ वर्ड बाय वर्ड एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं, डायरेक्ट कंक्लूजन्स बता रहे हैं. ठीक है, और क्यों बता रहे हैं डायरेक्ट कंक्लूजन, और क्यों एक्सेप्ट करें हम ये डायरेक्ट कंक्लूजन? व्हाई शुड वी एक्सेप्ट दीस कंक्लूजन्स कि अरे कुछ तो है जो nobody is able to destroy this imperishable soul. This is like a conclusion without any explanation, right? So why should we accept this, or we should not accept it?
So because Prabhuji, because it comes from God directly.
No, because it comes from Tattvadarshi. Okay, he himself says that in the previous verse, right? कि मैं अभी आपको तत्वदर्शी ने क्या बोला है वो सब बताऊंगा, ठीक है? Because Tattvadarshis have seen this truth, and so they are just telling, and I am just repeating. This is what Krishna says, and this is what, just imagine if God is doing that, what is our position? What should be our position? कि हम अपना दिमाग लगा के नॉर्मली हम ये करते हैं ना कि नहीं ये सब तो ठीक है, ये सब सुन लिया, बट इसको इट्स ओके, हमारे हिसाब से भी तो कुछ दिमाग लगाना चाहिए ना. मतलब just imagine what is God doing here. He's just repeating. Okay, and that should be our position also. Yeah, Vedic wisdom is very different than the material education. Vedic wisdom is about just repeating what the previous acharya said. Okay. So yeah, that's why we can kind of understand, if we want to, that this is the truth. And of course, as you say, it's correct, because for us God is saying so. Yes, why not? So the substance basically, जीवात्मा जो है is eternal, अविनाशी, ये word आता है यहाँ पे, right? And yeah, the question, exactly right. Soul is not all over the body. That you're right. Yeah, कि मतलब soul is just in one place. Okay, but it pervades, as you are saying, throughout the body because of consciousness. So हाँ, वहाँ पे वो full stop लगा हुआ है, इसलिए confuse होने की जरूरत नहीं है. वो full stop में पहले वो बता रहे हैं कि वो पूरे body में फैला हुआ है, और फिर बोल रहे हैं कि ये जो soul है वो eternal है. तो how do you know कि ये पूरी body में फैला हुआ है? Because you can pinch anywhere in the body, right? अपने legs में, hand में, head पे, wherever you want, and you will feel the pain. So that consciousness which is there, that consciousness is because of the soul. Okay, because अगर आप सोच लो, आपकी अगर finger dead हो जाती है, whatever reason, right? Snow में कहीं पर, and then you don't feel that pain, and which means it doesn't mean that soul is gone, but it is just that Chetana is gone at that part of the body for now, right? In fact, अगर जैसे अभी तो अंधेरा हो गया, बट अगर दिन का टाइम होता है तो you see sunlight, and just by seeing that sunlight, you know that sun is there. So similarly, this is called soul shine, or soul light, or whatever. So just by looking at the Chetana, you can see that the soul is there. So just the presence of Chetana itself confirms that that soul is there. Okay. So that is the way to understand the soul. That is one of the way. And in fact, many verses, many scriptures, Mundaka Upanishad, and they say that this is the way to know about soul, which is consciousness. Wherever you see consciousness, you can be sure कि soul है यहाँ पे. Okay, like dead matter, like glass or iron, they don't have consciousness. So we can clearly say कि यहाँ soul नहीं है. Not by opening the heart और वहाँ पे heart पे जाके खोजना शुरू करो. That's not the way to know about the soul, right? Prabhupada एक बार एक lecture में, in a light mood, he says कि that is why people say that, oh, you are you are my soul. I mean, like, because the soul lives in heart. Okay, so people don't say that, oh, you are my body, but sometimes people can say that, oh, you are my soul, in a romantic mood. So and consciousness, what is consciousness? So consciousness, I think we talked about it earlier also. It is thinking, feeling, and willing. Okay, and intentionality also. So thinking, feeling, willing is what defines consciousness. जैसे कि अगर आप एक कार को कितने भी आपने 500 किलोमीटर भी ड्राइव किया, उसके बाद आप और पेट्रोल डालोगे तो you can drive more. But a bull, if you are driving a bullock cart, it can choose not to move also. It can sit at a place and say कि बस अब मैं इसके आगे नहीं जा रहा, no matter what, right? So that willingness to do something, that comes from consciousness, and that is not found in the dead matter, right? So this whole body, that the word comes is idam sarvam, that is pervaded by the soul, and that is pervaded through consciousness. So yeah, any questions so far? Is it clear, that full stop thing? Okay, I think these are straightforward verses, pretty much conclusions. So yeah, and then other things it says is that vinasham avyayasya asya. Basically, nothing, no gross object can destroy this jiva, right? Because avyayasya asya, which is indestructible. So it is indestructible, so you cannot destroy it. This is what it says. And basically, other thing that Prabhupada goes into the next level is he talks about the size of the soul. Okay, there was someone at one point asking where the size of the soul is mentioned. Okay, who was that? Okay, so in this verse, the size of the soul is described. Prabhupada quotes the Shvetashwar Upanishad, and he says, Balagra Shatbhagagra Shatda Kalpitasya Cha Bhago Jiva Savigya Sa Chanandaya Kalpita. So Anantaya Kalpita. So basically he says Balagra Shatbhagagra, यानी टिप ऑफ द हेयर को लो और उसके शत यानी 100 पीसेस करो, एंड देन शतदा कल्पितस्य च, उस 100 पीस का एक पीस लेके उसके भी 100 पीस करो. and then that size that comes out is the size of like भागो जीवस्य सविज्ञेय, वो size जो है वो soul का size है. This is what it says. Okay, so that is the measurement of the soul. And Prabhupada quotes another verse also, Keshagra Sad Bhagavya. So basically the point, the reason why he is quoting this verse specifically is कि लोग confused ना हो जाए कि that which pervades the entire body, कि अरे soul इतना बड़ा है कि वो पूरी body में फैला हुआ है. So that just to make sure he quotes this specific verses to prove that yes, soul is very very minute and it is 1/10,000 the tip of the hair. Okay. 1 by 100 into 100, that is the size of the soul. So Mundak Upanishad in fact also confirms this. It says that there's a small soul, okay, and that because of that soul, on that soul the 5 pranas rest. So there are 5 types of prana, and Prabhupada also quotes in the verse, in the purport, pran, apan, saman, vyan and udan. So these are the 5 types of, I mean, if you ask any I don't know if some Ayurvedic people will know, but these airs are important to know. I mean, like at least at their level, even the yogis consider this as a very important knowledge, because this is like the air that you inhale, the air which comes out, the air which pervades the body, like at a same level, and then the air which goes from the body to higher your head and things like that, kind of things. So those are different types of, and the air which circulates, and so these are the 5 types of air, and this is the names of these airs. So they are important, and they are they rest on the soul, and this entire function of the body, it is said, is controlled by these pranas. And the Mundak Upanishad says that this small Atma can only be known by consciousness. Okay, that is the only way to know about it. Okay. Yeah. So, any questions, any thoughts, any doubts on the size of the soul, or the verse itself? Okay. Yeah. All right. Somebody was trying to say something. Okay. Yeah. So no matter what, like just about the size is constant, right? Whether it's a ant or whether it's a elephant or whatever it is, that is constant. I mean,
so Prabhuji, like in this one, if we compare it with a plant, so is this size of soul which you are talking about, which is there in our body or in ant, so same size of soul is there in plants as well?
Yes. Prabhupada in one lecture says he once saw insect which was of the size of a full stop. Okay, and he says even that full stop insect will also have the same size. So no matter whoever they are, yeah, the size of the soul is constant. The size of super soul changes. Okay, it is the size of the thumb is what is described in scriptures of that animal. That is the size of super soul, roughly. Now you say ki plants don't have thumb, but you can think about some way of some size, but roughly that's what scripture describes. But in general, that is, yeah, so the size of super soul may change, but soul is constant. Okay.
Just out of curiosity, Prabhuji, maybe not relevant, but if the size of the soul is constant, why is the size of super soul different?
See, there is, okay, because it's a theoretical curiosity. Basically, theoretically understanding, basically soul and super soul have no comparison anyways, right? I mean, super soul is anyways way bigger than soul in any aspect. I mean, maybe this is also an indication ki just imagine this particular thing. Just imagine ki what is the level of us as a person and God as his size. Okay, just think about like 1/10,000 the tip and the size of the thumb. Okay, just think about these dimensions and then imagine कि कितना difference है एक soul में और एक supreme में. So that is the level of difference that we are talking about. ठीक है, एक 1/10,000 the tip of the hair के लिए it is like a infinite. That thumb is like a infinity. So that's one way to understand it, I believe. But yeah, they separately talk about it. Not much logic, but but this is how I can imagine it will mean. Right? अगर आप मायापुर जाएंगे कभी तो वहां पर there is a deity of Narasimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj. ठीक है? And when they were building the deity of Prahlad Maharaj, so they said कि जो actually scriptures के हिसाब से बनाते थे, जो the people who carved those deities from somewhere in South India they did it and they carve it based on the scripture. वहां पर जो sizes described है. So उन्होंने नरसिम्हा देव की तो बना दी, but when it was like Prahlad Maharaj, they said कि possible ही नहीं है प्रहलाद महाराज को इस size पे बनाना. They said कि अरे अगर नरसिम्हा देव इतने feet के हैं, तो प्रहलाद महाराज will be like a small tiny thing. I mean, it will not even be visible. We cannot even carve him. Okay, it is not possible to do it. And that is the level of Prahlad Maharaj and Narasimha Dev. But Bahut, after a lot of requests, they said, okay, we can make it a feet or something like that, a very small DT we can do. But it is not possible otherwise to carve it like that in the actual dimensions. So that is the level of difference between these two. Okay. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, talking about Atma, soul, it is very, very powerful, right? I mean, even at that size, it can move the big, big elephant or a dinosaur also, right? That is the power of that small particle, even though it is very, very small. In fact, even think about it, ki all of this it is able to do when it is in the Baddha Avastha. I mean, like in this world, it is not even liberated. It is under the illusion and all sort of things. Even then it is so powerful that it can do so wonders. So अगर ये liberated state में होगा तो क्या कर सकता है, we cannot even imagine. And if it is such a tiny thing, and then if we cannot even think about what God can do, which is like, completely spirit, I mean, of that size. So that spirit, what it can do, we can't imagine. Yeah. So okay. So soul, I hope it is clear, right? It is not, soul is not spread throughout the body. That has to be very clear. In fact, Prabhupada spent most of his purport to ensure that that confusion doesn't exist. Okay. A lot of places he talked about that particular thing. So that we have to be very clear about. Now, it is spread throughout the body through consciousness. Now, basically it is spread in the body through consciousness without any effort, right? I mean, how it spreads consciousness, abhi koi bolega, so no, there is no effort required to spread the consciousness. Like sun ko sunlight dene ke liye koi effort nahi karni hoti hai. Similarly, soul ko consciousness dene ke liye there is no effort required. Okay, it just spreads like that, just it being there. Okay. Now, my question is, if consciousness of the soul comes and it's pervaded throughout the body, right? That's what this verse says. Okay. So then, can this consciousness, why it can the consciousness go out of the body also? Because अगर बल्ब लगाते हैं तो वो बॉडी के बॉर्डर तक ही जाएगा बल्ब का लाइट, ऐसा तो नहीं है. It can go out. It should go out of the body, right? So does it goes out of the body or it doesn't go out of the body? What do you think? Or it just stick till the body? Yeah. Sorry.
अंडरस्टैंडिंग के अकॉर्डिंग बॉडी ही रहेगी, आई थिंक बॉडी क्रॉस नहीं करेगी मे बी.
ओके, बट व्हाई नॉट? मतलब यू कैन इमेजिन, राइट, कि मतलब बॉडी इज लाइक दिस कर्व स्ट्रक्चर और अंदर एक बल्ब जला दिया हमने और वो बल्ब की लाइट अगर फैल रही है, कॉन्शियसनेस, आई हैव बीन गिविंग एग्जांपल कि कॉन्शियसनेस इज लाइक अ लाइट, राइट, बल्ब. So then why it cannot go out, or does it go out also? Okay, I'll give this question as a homework. I mean, like, think about it if it makes sense, because whatever we have heard so far, it is like a light, right? So it should go out. Why not? So in that case, contradictions will happen, and if it doesn't go out, then also there are contradictions. Think about it. We can talk about it next time. So there are a few more things that Prabhupada talks in the purport, and I can very quickly complete it. So this particular thing, as I said, this verse, yeah, I think one of the important things just reading the purport is the size of the soul. Of course, he talks about it, and we talked about it also. And also it says that you can perceive the size by perfect intelligence. Like there are 5 types of life here. He says that also explained. And he even talks about 2 analogies. One I gave, which is like the sunshine, because the sun's light pervades the way it pervades. Similarly, the light of soul also pervades in the body. The other example he gives is active principle of medicine. Like जब हम मेडिसिन खाते हैं तो उसका जो इफेक्ट होता है, हम खाते एक मेडिसिन है, पेन किलर फॉर एग्जांपल, और the effect it goes into the entire body, because the pain from the entire body goes away. Similarly, it says that the soul, even though it is there in the region of the heart, floating in these 5 life airs, it is still the consciousness spreads throughout the body. Okay. And he then also gives example of Vedic science and modern science, where both of them know that, okay, Vedic science says that yes, the soul is a tiny particle in the region of the heart floating in these airs. That's what Vedic science talk about. Modern science doesn't talk about soul, but it knows that there are these heart is a very important place. They agree with it, right? So that's there is something there in the heart which is making the whole body work, because it's a very important area. That is also agreed by the modern science, is what Prabhupada says. The other thing he talks about is Vishnu Tattva, like all pervading Vishnu Tattva, because काफी लोग ऐसा भी बोलते हैं कि अरे ये सब कुछ सभी तरफ भगवान है, राइट? और वो जो भगवान है उनके सब तरफ फैले हुए हैं, हमारे भी अंदर फैले हुए हैं, and it's pervading the entire body, and that is what this verse talks about. That the pervades the entire body, you should know as indestructible. So Prabhupada clarifies कि नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. It is not like all pervading Vishnu Tattva. इससे confuse मत करो. He even makes it very, very clear. What he says, only an insane man can think of this atomic soul as an all pervading Vishnu Tattva. Okay, बहुत ही polite language में प्रभुपाद बोलते हैं कि person is fool if he is thinking कि ऐसा कुछ है, because the size of the soul is anyways very well described, and this verse talks about soul word clearly आया है यहाँ पर, so इसलिए ऐसा कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, right? It is the soul consciousness which is doing it. And I think that's pretty much. The other thing he explains is about Hatha Yoga. He says that the yogis actually control these life airs, okay, to be able to go out, and that we'll hear a lot about it in after 2 more chapters, where what is this life airs and how the yogis control them, and how it helps them to get liberated. How do they go out of this bodies by actually controlling the life airs? काफी कुछ described है 2 chapter के बाद, so we'll wait till then. I'll not talk about it. Okay, that's pretty much about this verse. Any questions? Because these verses we'll be able to quickly cover, right? There's no point spending beyond a point. Okay. All right. Okay, if no questions, was it useful, whatever we talked so far? I don't know, because this is very, very conclusive kind of things. I can give some juice, but that's okay, even if I don't. Okay, useful.
Yeah, it is useful, Prabhuji.
Okay, because these are like, some of these things we have already talked about. So and we have been talking about it since quite some time, about these basic things about soul. And these are very, very conclusion. We cannot deviate from this. इसलिए बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है इसमें. ठीक है. So we'll go, I think, because it's 7:10. I will not take too much time. And Nidhi Mataji has some things to talk about, Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur. So I can let her talk about it. Just maybe I can talk 1 minute for something. Like this is the month which has started which is the Gita Jayanti month, where we actually try to distribute this knowledge to people if possible, because this is what Krishna says. I mean, in the 18th chapter, ki, anybody who can distribute this knowledge is very dear to me. So that's one thing that people do. If you get opportunity, please do that. Try doing that. If you need books, let me know. I can help somehow. There is an online way of even doing that for anyone. We are also organizing. I mean, we're trying to organize something called as Gita Sar. I'll share more details in the group, which is like a 7-day, the entire Bhagavad Gita in 7 days. Okay. Lot of good speakers are there, and maybe one or not so good speaker, but I mean, like, but basically, more or less, it's going to be a very good course to learn. Okay. Yeah. So if I'll share more details, if anybody is interested, they can register. Yeah. So a couple of it's going to be a good session in different languages. I mean, in the English and others also. So I'll share those details. Okay. Yeah, Nidhi Mataji, do you want to talk about?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्ण।
प्रभु जी, सबसे पहले तो आपको थैंक यू कहना चाह रहे हैं कि आपके मतलब आपकी मर्जी से, प्रभुपाद की मर्जी से हम लोग आचार्यों के बारे में जान सकें और उनके बारे में पढ़ने का मौका मिला, क्योंकि उसके पहले तो हम लोगों ने सोचा भी नहीं था प्रभु जी। और आज हम विश्वनाथ
माता जी, मेरा कुछ भी नहीं है, मतलब अगर मेरे से कुछ होना होता ना तो पता नहीं क्या हो जाता। मेरे होने के बावजूद भी आप लोग जान सके, आपको ऐसा सोचना चाहिए।
नहीं प्रभु,
ओके, यू गो।
जितना कुछ भी जाने प्रभु जी, आपके ही जरिए हम लोग जान पाए।
नहीं माता जी, मतलब उसमें कोई भी ग्रेटनेस नहीं है। तत्वदर्शी आपने सुना ना अभी सब कुछ, मतलब इट इज जस्ट वॉट एवर वी हर्ड सो फार, वॉट एवर आई हर्ड सो फार। ओके
जी प्रभु जी। तो विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी जो हैं, वो नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर जी के बाद आते हैं। और श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी का जन्म में हुआ था, और ये बचपन से ही मतलब कि बहुत ही बहुत तो बचपन से ही इनके चेहरे से भी रहती थी। और जो गुरुजन है वो ये भी कहते हैं कि ये श्री राधा कृष्ण के नित्य सिद्ध परिकर थे, जो कि सीधा गोलोक वृंदावन से पृथ्वी पर चैतन्य महाप्रभु के द्वारा भेजे गए थे, जिसमें कृष्ण भावनामृत के प्रचार प्रसार में भी सहायता कर सके। और उनका जन्म एक बहुत ही निष्ठावान वैष्णव श्री नारायण चक्रवर्ती जी के यहाँ हुआ था। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी के 2 भाई थे, रामभद्र और रघुनाथ जी। तो वे अपने बड़े भाइयों से भागवतम सुना करते थे। और बचपन
माता जी, आपकी आवाज कट रही है। कुछ नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम है? हरे कृष्णा माता जी, कुछ भी आवाज नहीं आ रही है।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
या अभी आ रही है, अभी आ रहे हैं मतलब।
हरे कृष्णा।
प्रभु जी, the slide is visible, is it?
No, not anymore.
Okay. Just outside probably.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, आवाज आ रही?
यस माता जी, आ रही है।
आ रही है। तो विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर श्रुतिधर भी थे, मतलब कि जो कुछ भी एक बार अगर वो सुन लेते थे तो उन्हें याद हो जाता था, और फिर वो उसका मतलब कि जैसा उन्होंने सुना वैसा व्याख्यान भी वो कर देते थे। और ये संस्कृत के भी अच्छे ज्ञाता थे, और शास्त्रों में भी शास्त्रों का इनको अच्छा शास्त्रों के श्लोक भी इन्हें बहुत अच्छे से याद रहते थे, ताकि आगे और पीछे ये दोनों तरीके से सुना सकते थे। और उनके बचपन की एक और स्टोरी है, जिसमें एक दिग्विजय नामक पंडित थे, जो कि अपने व्याकरण और न्याय में प्रवीण माने जाते थे। और फिर ये इनके गांव में आए, देवग्राम में। उस समय श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर ने उन्हें चुनौती भी दी, जैसे कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने केशव कश्मीरी को चुनौती दी थी, जो कि, और ये लीला जो है गौरांग महाप्रभु लीला में वर्णित भी है। और फिर उन्होंने इनको दिग्विजय पंडित को हरा भी दिया था, तो जिससे दिग्विजय पंडित को बहुत ही इस बात का बहुत दुख हुआ। फिर वो माता सरस्वती के पास गए और फिर उन्होंने प्रेयर भी किया। फिर उन्होंने बोला कि मतलब मैंने बचपन से इतना कुछ सीखा था और एक छोटे से बच्चे से मैं हार भी गया। तब फिर इनके बड़े भाई रामभद्र जी आए और फिर उन्होंने बोला कि देखो, जो ये विश्वनाथ मतलब कि ये जो विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर हैं वो कृष्णा के पार्षद हैं, और इसीलिए वे महान शास्त्रज्ञ भी हैं, और इसलिए तुम चिंता मत करो, क्योंकि ये तो निश्चित था कि भाई तुम हार जाओगे। और फिर उसके बाद से जब विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर ने श्रीमद् भागवतम को पूरी तरह से जब पढ़ लिया, तो फिर वो अपने बड़े भाई के पास आए और फिर उन्होंने बोला कि मैंने भागवतम पढ़ लिया है। तो रामभद्र जी ने बोला कि अच्छा, तो फिर ठीक है, तुम बताओ कि पढ़ने के बाद तुम किस निष्कर्ष पे पहुंचे हो। तो विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर ने मतलब कि वो आश्वस्त नहीं हो पाया कि भाई मैं किस निष्कर्ष पे पहुंचा हूँ। इस पर उनके बड़े भाई ने बोला कि भाई ठीक है, तो तुम फिर से जाओ भागवतम, श्रीमद् भागवतम पढ़ो, जिसमें कि 18,000 श्लोक हैं। तो फिर इन्होंने फिर से गए और फिर से इन्होंने पूरी भागवतम पढ़ी, और फिर जब उन्होंने पढ़ लिया तो फिर ये फिर से गए अपने भाई के पास, और फिर इन्होंने कहा कि मैं आपसे आज्ञा चाहता हूँ कि मैं श्री वृंदावन धाम में जाऊं और श्री राधा कृष्ण के चिरकालिक निवास स्थान पर जाकर वहां पे वृंदावन धाम में जाकर वहां पूज्य पावन मिट्टी की सेवा करूं। तो अपने छोटे भाई की बात सुनकर उन्होंने रामभद्र जी ने उनको आज्ञा दे दी। फिर जब वो वृंदावन धाम में थे तो फिर एक बार ऐसा भी टाइम आया जब विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी का थोड़े से एज मतलब उनकी एज हो गई थी, और फिर वो अपने उसमें साधना में और भजन क्रिया में लीन रहते थे। तो फिर उनके पास एक चुनौती भी आई कि गौड़ीय मठ की वैष्णव सिद्धांत की वो ब्राह्मण जन ये नहीं मानना चाहते थे कि कृष्णा और राधा को वो क्या बोलेंगे कृष्णा और राधा की पूजा करना उनको सही नहीं लगता था। तो इस पर फिर विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी ने श्री बलदेव भूषण को भेजा, बलदेव विद्याभूषण को भेजा। फिर उन्होंने इस चुनौती को स्वीकार किया और फिर वहां पर वो गए। तब वहां के पंडितों ने ब्राह्मणों ने कहा, हम जो है लक्ष्मी नारायण के युगल जोड़े को पूजनीय मानते हैं कि इसमें किसमें वेदांत सूत्र पर नहीं, वो तो शादी वाला तो बोले है ना, जो कि वेदांत सूत्र में जिसकी मतलब लिखा हुआ है। तो फिर बलदेव विद्याभूषण से इन्होंने कहा कि इसमें तभी वापस प्रतियोगिता में आना है जब आप एक प्रमाणित टीका लेके आएंगे। तब फिर बलदेव विद्याभूषण जी ने फिर इनसे प्रेयर किया। बलदेव विद्याभूषण ने गोविंद जी से प्रेयर किया कि भगवान मैं गोविंद जी मैं क्या करूं जो कि मैं अपने गुरु की आज्ञा का पालन कर सकूं। तब गोविंद जी ने कहा कि तुम मतलब कि गोविंद जी की गोविंद भूषण की स्वीकार करते हुए ये बोला कि ठीक है तुम चिंता मत करो, मैं तुम्हें खुद लिखवाऊंगा। और फिर गोविंद जी ने 3 दिन तक बोला और बलदेव विद्याभूषण जी ने उसे लिखा और वेदांत सूत्र पे टीका लिखा। और फिर उसके बाद से ब्राह्मणों के पास लेकर गए। और जब वो लेके गए फिर उन्होंने जब पढ़ा तो ब्राह्मणों ने पढ़ा तो फिर उन्होंने कहा कि हम आप हाँ चर्चा करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, हम ये बात स्वीकार करते हैं कि ये चीज स्वीकार करते हैं कि राधा कृष्ण की राधा कृष्ण ही पूजनीय है। और फिर उसके बाद से उन्होंने फिर उसके बाद गौड़ी वैष्णव सिद्धांत को सजोने का और उसका श्रेय बलदेव विद्याभूषण को, विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर और बलदेव विद्याभूषण को भी जाता है। और श्री विश्वनाथ जो कि महाप्रभु के वृंदावन आने के लगभग 150 वर्ष बाद आए थे।
वॉइस नहीं आ रही मैसेज। हरे कृष्णा। हरे कृष्णा वरुण प्रभु। Okay, I don't know if I think nobody is able to hear them, right?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Okay. All right, what do we do then? I can tell few pastimes of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur if required, or else we can do it next time because he's not audible.
I think होगा प्रभुजी क्योंकि वो लेफ्ट भी कर गए।
अच्छा, ओके। हाँ तो फिर कुछ तो इंटरनेट इशू है। ओके, आई होप दैट स्टोरी वाज क्लियर, राइट? जो माता जी बता रही थी बलदेव विद्याभूषण के जाने की। सो essentially that of course as Mataji was saying, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and not just he but other acharyas, many of them are are not from this world. I mean, these acharyas to understand is they are usually very very elevated soul, right? They are not like us. First thing to understand, okay? They are sent by God, okay? They don't get entangled in material illusion, और वो यहाँ पर हमारी तरह फंस के नहीं आ जाते। और फिर आचार्य जिस तरह से कोई भगवान नहीं बन जाता ना, कुछ पढ़ के लिख के कुछ करके सिद्धि विद्धि से, उसी तरह से कोई आचार्य नहीं बन जाता। Okay, so that is how most of them are. Like, you know, just think about pranam mantra of any of these, right? Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, right? So they have been sent by Krishna in this world. So once Prabhupada was in Mumbai airport, okay, let me talk because they are not joining. So let me explain about Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Just give a glimpse of who he is. So once he was in Prabhupada was in Mumbai airport, and Giriraj Maharaj unke saath the. He's very prominent disciple. So Prabhupada said in the airport ki, I don't like this place at all. Okay. And Giriraj Maharaj was like, yes, sorry Prabhupada, matlab, you have to wait here in Mumbai airport and it is not clean. So I'm feeling bad about it. He thought he's talking about airport. And Prabhupada said, no, I'm not talking about this airport. Okay. I'm talking about this material world itself. He said ki, I never wanted to come here in the first place. Okay. But Krishna said, go and write some books and come back. It's okay. I'll take care of the rest. So Giriraj Maharaj was totally shocked. What is being talked about here? Okay. So these people are not ordinary. I mean, these acharyas are not ordinary. And so was all of these names that we heard. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, everybody, all of them, like Vishvanath Chakravarti Thakur. Nobody is a ordinary soul or like who became acharya like that. So many instances, I mean, so many of them to talk about him. He is like a very, very amazing person. Like Prabhupada, when he wrote his Bhagavad Gita, he referred to 4 prominent acharyas. Okay. And they are like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baldev Vidyabhushan, Sridhar Swami and Ramanujacharya. If you read any of Prabhupada की जो book अगर आप उठा के पढ़ेंगे ना, तो आप इनमें से किसी की भी पढ़ेंगे तो you will see similar things. Like I was talking about this verse 2.16 and I explained कि बलदेव विद्याभूषण बोलते हैं कि soul को समझ के आप super soul को समझ सकते हो. And Baldev Vidyabhushan talks about it in a very, very detailed way. It's a very complicated way. Okay. And Prabhupada just writes that crux of it in one line. Okay. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Bhagavad Gita that he wrote was very amazing. I mean, like it's a very, very amazing book, really. Very wonderful. But just that we are not qualified. It's difficult. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in fact, I would say wrote some 40 odd books in Sanskrit. Okay. Very prominent one, one of the prominent one is Madhurya Kadambini. ठीक है. You remember that PPTV saw, एक बार मैंने बताया था कि अधो श्रद्धा क्या होती है, साधु संग, अनर्थ निवृत्ति, भजन क्रिया, निष्ठा, रुचि, भाव, प्रेम. Okay, all of them and I explained about the symptoms of them also, कि ये कैसे होता है, इस स्टेज में क्या होता है and this stage में क्या होता है. All of that is from this book called Madhurya Kadambini, which is written by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he in fact took it from Rupa Goswami's book called Nectar of Devotion. I mean, like that's how Prabhupada calls it. So basically, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. So Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu का मतलब होता है कि जब भक्ति का सागर है, उसको भक्ति के रस का सागर. And विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर राइट्स कि अच्छा उस सागर से जब क्लाउड्स बनते हैं उस भक्ति रसामृत के. ओके, सो उस सागर उसके बने हुए क्लाउड्स से जो बारिश होती है, then he talks about that. So he calls it माधुर्य कदम्बिनी. तो जो मधुरता के साथ जो हरे कृष्णा
प्रभु जी.
Till what point did you hear, Prabhuji?
We forgot. You were telling about Baldev Vidyabhushan का वहां पर जाना, basically in the Rajasthan, and he yeah.
अच्छा, बल्देव विद्याभूषण जी जब वहां पे गए थे प्रतियोगिता में, प्रभु जी
प्रतियोगिता नहीं that was Ramanand. So basically there is a sampradaya which is called Ramanandi Sampradaya. It's a minor sampradaya in Sri Sampradaya within that, and they claimed ki Radha Krishna ki in like they removed Radharani from Govind Dev. Okay, so whenever we should see Radha Govind Dev together, that deities, we should think about Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baldev Vidyabhushan. The Radha Krishna together there just because of these acharyas. Okay, they said कि राधा कृष्ण की पूजा नहीं होनी चाहिए. We should worship Govind Dev, but we should not worship Radharani there. I mean, this is cruelty, I would say. And they even said कि this sampradaya, Gaudiya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya sampradaya, that is not even authorized because you guys don't have your own version of a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Okay. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur asked Baldev Vidyabhushan that you go and establish this. Okay. And in 7 days, some people say 14 days, he wrote down the commentary on this again. Anyways, yeah, that's where you were, Mataji. Beyond that, yeah.
अच्छा, फिर उसके बाद से श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जो है महाप्रभु के वृंदावन नहीं, हाँ, विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जो है महाप्रभु के वृंदावन आने के लगभग 150 वर्ष के बाद आए थे। फिर उस समय की घटना इस तरह है कि महाप्रभु जब वृंदावन आए तो उन्होंने बहुत सी जगहों का पुनर्स्थापन किया था, जैसे कि राधा कुंड, श्याम कुंड, और फिर उन्होंने षट गोस्वामी को शिक्षा दी। इन षट गोस्वामियों को जो उन्होंने शिक्षा दी उसमें से ये था कि भगवान के लिए के लीला क्षेत्रों में का पुनर्स्थापन किया था षट गोस्वामियों ने, फिर मंदिरों का स्थापन किया था, उसके बाद वैष्णव सदाचार की स्थापना की, फिर उन्होंने गौड़ीय वैष्णव सिद्धांत पर शास्त्रों और लेखों की रचना भी की थी। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जब वृंदावन आए तो उस समय औरंगजेब का शासन काल था, मंदिरों की हालत भी काफी खराब थी और लोग अपनी प्राण मतलब कि अपना जान बचाने के लिए काफी संघर्ष भी कर रहे थे। तब औरंगजेब ने कई मंदिर तोड़वा भी दिए थे और बहुत कुछ नुकसान भी कराया था। तब विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी ने ये सोच लिया था, उन्होंने ठान लिया था कि मैं श्री वृंदावन धाम की स्थिति को सुधारने का पूरा प्रयास करूंगा। और उनके इस दृढ़ निश्चय को देखकर श्री कृष्ण ने एक निष्ठावान भक्त उनको मतलब प्रदान किया, ताकि और जिनका नाम था श्री बलदेव विद्याभूषण। और फिर इन दोनों लोगों ने मिलकर फिर वृंदावन में बहुत सारे मंदिर की पुनर्स्थापना कराई। फिर श्री रूप गोस्वामी द्वारा रचित लेखों को, शास्त्रों को का विस्तार से समझाने का कार्य जो अति विद्वान प्रकृति वाले श्री जीव गोस्वामी जी ने किया। और आगे चलकर श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर ने इन समस्त शास्त्रों का रस तत्व और पारलौकिक मधुरता के साथ व्याख्यान किया और स्पष्टीकरण भी किया। और एक गोवर्धन शिला और गुंजमाला विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर को इस तरह मिली थी कि शंकर आनंद प्रभु से ये महाप्रभु के पास आई। फिर महाप्रभु के पास लगभग 2 साल तक थी। फिर उसके पास ये रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी जी के पास आई, उसके बाद कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी जी के पास, फिर मुकुंदास जी के पास, फिर कृष्ण प्रिया से फिर ये विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी के पास आई, गोवर्धन शिला और गुंजमाला। और श्री प्रभुपाद जी के जीवन में हाँ, और ये गोकुलानंद अर्च विग्रह को वृंदावन में फिर इन्होंने स्थापित किया, इन्होंने विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती जी ठाकुर ने। और फिर प्रभुपाद जी के जीवन में श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर का रोल काफी बहुत बड़ा है। और श्री प्रभुपाद जी को उनके गुरु परम आराधितम श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर जी ने निर्देशित किया कि समस्त विश्व में जाकर श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु का संदेश अंग्रेजी भाषा में प्रसारित करें। जब प्रभुपाद गृहस्थ थे तो उन्हें अपने गुरु जी के निर्देश पे पूर्ण विश्वास था, लेकिन उसको करना कैसे है इसका रास्ता उन्हें नहीं सूझ रहा था। उनको अपने आराधितम गुरु पर पूर्ण श्रद्धा थी और नाम जप पर भी, लेकिन उनको ऐसा लग रहा था कि वो ये सब कुछ कैसे करेंगे। जब वो इस यात्रा की तैयारी कर रहे थे तब आचार्यों द्वारा शास्त्रों को पढ़ते हुए वे भगवद गीता के 2.41 श्लोका का उन्होंने पढ़ा और उसकी टीका पढ़ी। तो उसमें श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी ने लिखा था कि कृष्ण भावनामृत में दक्ष होने के लिए मनुष्य को दृढ़ता से कर्म करना होगा और कृष्ण के प्रतिनिधि की आज्ञा का पालन करना होगा। उसे गुरु के उपदेशों को जीवन का लक्ष्य मान लेना होगा। जब श्री प्रभुपाद ने पढ़ा तो उनको लगा कि श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी मुझे बता रहे हैं, मुझे प्रेरणा दे रहे हैं, मेरा उत्साह बढ़ा रहे हैं। मैं श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर जी के निर्देश जो कि श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु के संदेश का प्रचार प्रसार पूरी दुनिया में करूं और निर्भीक होकर ये कार्य करूं। ये टीका पढ़कर श्री प्रभुपाद का उत्साह और भी बढ़ गया और फिर प्रभुपाद यूएस में बोस्टन शहर में पहुंचे और फिर उन्होंने ये शुरू किया। फिर श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर की इच्छा से और श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी की प्रेरणा से और श्री प्रभुपाद के परिश्रम से अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सोसाइटी इस्कॉन का गठन हुआ और अब हम सब इसमें इसके सदस्य हैं और इससे हम गौरवान्वित हैं। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you Mataji. Okay, anybody wants to ask any question to Mataji? Everything is clear. Okay.
प्रभु जी हम सही बोले हैं?
हाँ माताजी, काफी अच्छा बोला आपने. But basically one thing to understand is basically the pastimes are important, but इससे भी ज्यादा important है उनकी basically what do we learn from them. Okay, and you mentioned that also कि मतलब Prabhupada had lot of influence he was influenced by these acharyas a lot, and that is also important to understand. So हाँ बिल्कुल ही अच्छा था, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आती. इनफैक्ट I think I will search. I have some once a drama, a very nice drama on Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I'll search if I can find that. I will share. He was, I think he clearly was out of world person. I can tell you this much for sure. मतलब variety of pastimes which actually clearly proved he was not of this world. मतलब बहुत ही amazing person है विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर. Like so many pastimes which are like way beyond our comprehension. Even Bhagavad Gita commentary that he wrote is like way beyond our comprehension. But anyways, he is like he's said to be like जो रूप गोस्वामी का जो level scriptures को लेके था, he is one of the only acharya who actually almost goes close to that, of that level of understanding and explanation on these things. So he wrote multiple, as I said, multiple dramas, multiple commentaries on variety of things. Okay, including a variety of things. In fact, even Chaitanya Charitamrita he was writing a commentary, and variety of other things he was writing a commentary. So, anyways, maybe I'll try to share. बहुत कुछ है बताने के लिए इनके बारे में.
और प्रभु एक और स्टोरी है, एक और लीला है कि जब विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर जी जब कुछ मतलब कि लिखते थे या चैंटिंग करते थे, मतलब बारिश भी होती थी, अगर धूप है तो चारों तरफ धूप है, लेकिन उनके ऊपर एक छाया का बादल रहता था. और ये भी लेक्चर में ये भी बताया गया था कि बारिश के टाइम में काफी बाढ़ आ गई थी, और लेकिन बाकी सब जगह मतलब सब कुछ बारिश से बह रहा था, लेकिन उनका जहां पर वो थे वो जगह पूरी सुरक्षित थी. और ऐसे और नाम जप में इनका पूरा जो है विश्वास तो
variety of other pastimes माता जी, मतलब लेकिन उन्होंने राधा कृष्ण का basically he was very so much clear about this particular. I would say he is credited to establishing Radha Krishna as a couple and the worship of those deities. He should be credited for that the most. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is one such acharya. And variety of things happened. Like this is one pastime जो हमें पता, जो हम बात करते हैं कि मतलब ओके बलदेव विद्याभूषण को उन्होंने भेजा. उसके पहले भी काफी ऐसे पास टाइम्स हुए हैं where people tried to kill him, murder him also, विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर को, because people said कि अरे ये कैसे राधा कृष्ण की पूजा कैसे कर सकते हो, and the variety of such pastimes exist where he tried to, and he didn't have to do anything because of circumstances. People themselves realized this is the highest rasa. uh, बाकी किसी और की वर्शिप से मतलब this is the highest rasa possible. Basically he talked about variety of rasas. That particular part he established, he's credited to establish a lot कि परिकीय भाव क्या होता है, और on such advanced rasas जो कि beyond the course है मतलब अभी बात करने के लिए, but he is like amazing आचार्य. Anyways, I'll not talk too much because बहुत कुछ ऐसा है जो out of course है, वो चला जाएगा उनके बारे में. ठीक है, any questions, thoughts, or we are done? Any thoughts on the book distribution? Let me know if you want to do something. I will share about the Gita Sar course. So I am also be taking one of the, I mean, multiple courses are happening, multiple courses, because it's like Hindi, English mein ya weekend pe, weekday pe. So I'll be taking one of those. I'll share. That's why I said ki one not so good person is also talking. So, but I'll share the detail in the chat, in the WhatsApp sometime.
Yeah, please, Prabhuji. It will be really nice.
Yeah.
So for book distribution, Prabhuji, what are you thinking? Are we planning to go outside or online or what? And
Planning to go outside is probably not very, I mean, like, do it at your own risk.
correct.
I would, right? Not recommended. But
Yeah.
online is the way to go. This Gita Sar also is like one such way we are trying, where we'll be teaching people about Gita, but at the same time also sending books to them. So that is one way. We have to be innovative. That's what the thought is. I can discuss offline if you're interested more about more thoughts are being explored, more such ideas are being explored right now. But let's see. I'll discuss offline if required, if anybody else is also interested.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, sure.
ठीक है. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
श्लोका
Jai Gaur Premanande. Oh, sorry, Hari Bol. sorry. I always forget Mataji. I'm really bad because हम काफी उल्टी सीधी बातें करते हैं और important part भूल जाते हैं. Shloka, yeah, do you want to recite Shloka?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm ready.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
आत्मौपम्येन सर्वत्र आत्मौपम्येन सर्वत्र समं पश्यति अर्जुन सुखेहं सुखं वा यदि वा दुःखं स योगी परमो मतः. Translation: He is a perfect yogi who, by comparing himself by his own just sees the true equality of all being in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna.
Thank you. Nice recitation. Wonderful. So you're clear about the meaning, right? What does it mean?
Yes, Prabhuji. They are telling that whoever compares himself by his own is the perfect yogi, and he can know the real quality even in their happiness or when they're sad.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Who else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'll go. Vishaya vinivartante niraharshasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Translation: Though all embodied souls may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste of sense object remains, but ceasing such engagement by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness.
Yeah, thank you. Can you think of a practical example of this verse?
Like chanting, you can do chanting, it's a higher taste, and then harikatha, listen to harikatha or preach kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. But what else, like, so why can't you control your all of the problems and get rid of anarthas?
Well, that's a little hard. Like practically talking, that's we can do sense enjoyment, but like we can restrict sense enjoyment, but then the taste for that certain types of thing remain still, and then our senses go on that particular thing when it
Yeah.
starts. So getting that higher taste can can pure the consciousness.
Prabhupada ke jo restaurants, what he established, right? Throughout the ISKCON, there is one name which is always there for the restaurant. Govinda's, the higher taste.
Yeah.
Okay. So the higher taste. So essentially, because otherwise, what happens is you are like you always are stuck on this thing. कि ठीक है, मतलब मुझे पिज्जा तो खाना ही है, लेकिन बाकी सब तो ठीक है, बट पिज्जा के बिना काम नहीं चलेगा. तो okay, fine. I mean, like, you can get that taste by offering it to God, and then eat whatever you want to, and feel happy about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, well.
Very well.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Yeah.
14.66. Sarva dharman prajittaya mamekam sarvanam praja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami master. Translation: Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What else is the religion? I mean, what else is the religion that he talks about here? When he says all sort of religion.
Prabhuji, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Think about it. You can answer next time also. But okay, I'll give some hint. Basically, anybody else knows what else he's talking about? Abandon all types of religion. Any thoughts? Okay, silence.
Like the Kankandi things and the material things what we do, and typical Hinduism kind of thing.
Yeah, much more than that, but yep, you can
Yeah.
even think like that also कि मतलब बाकी सब कुछ अगर छोड़ देते हो तो छोड़ दो, that is fine. मतलब हमारे बहुत सारे और भी एक्सपेक्टेशन होते हैं हमसे कि अरे हम अर्थ में बॉर्न हुए अपने भारत देश में, तो हमारा we have a duty for that country, right? We have a duty for variety of other things around us. Okay, there are 5 types of such duties explained in scriptures, but basically बहुत सारे लोगों के लिए हमारी ड्यूटीज होती है. Now he says कि सब कुछ भी छोड़ के अगर you just surrender onto me and I will, उसके कारण जो भी sin आता होगा ना, I will take away all the sin. ठीक है, and don't worry about it. I will take care. This is what he's saying. कि you can just surrender onto me and forget about all the duties. Well, lot to talk, but I'll not talk that much. But roughly ऐसा कुछ मतलब है इसका. Anyways. Okay, who else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
14.62. तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादां परं शान्तिं ज्ञानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्. Translation: O Sultan of Bharat, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and the eternal abode.
Thank you. Nice. Very nicely recited. Great. Who else? Okay. And Shambhi is not reciting today.
प्रभु जी बुला रहे हैं.
She is not prepared, Prabhuji, today.
ठीक है, no issues. ठीक है, next time. All right. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I'm sorry I keep forgetting. Thanks for reminding. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you.